Kanye West sold us out, not for his freedom, not with a sentence hanging over his head, for attention, on camera, in front of the world, and then he lectured us for being hurt by it. Read that again, because they need you to get it wrong. They sold you a clown, a troubled genius melting down in public, somebody to laugh at and scroll past. That was the lie. What you actually watched was a betrayal, one of our own. A man this community built and loved and defended for 20 years, looked his people dead in the eye and walked to the other side on purpose. And he did it grinning, proud of every second. And here is what should make your blood run hot. A man warned us this was coming, not in riddles, not in some vague prophecy you have to squint at. He described this exact kind of black man, down to how he would think, how he would talk, and how he would turn on the very people who made him. His name was Malcolm X. They flattened him into an angry caricature so you would never sit still long enough to hear the warning underneath. But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to see how precisely he called it. He did not just describe a type. In certain moments, it is like he was reading Kanye's life off a page that had not been written yet. Start with the picture that tells the whole story. Paris, October 2022. The lights come up on a surprise fashion show, and the man on the runway is one of the most famous black artists who has ever lived. Across his chest, in plain block letters, the words "White Lives Matter," a phrase racist groups had been waving for years. Beside him, in the same shirt, a black conservative who built her entire brand attacking black movements. He is not embarrassed. He is not hiding. He is smiling. The genius your community made, the man you defended for 2 decades, put that on his body and walked it down a runway on purpose. Here is what this video is going to prove. Kanye West is not a victim who got used and dropped. He is the one Malcolm warned us about, who came knocking on the master's door himself, eyes open, asking to be let in. They wanted you laughing at the clown, so you would never notice he chose the costume. So watch closely. Let us get the most important thing straight first. The Malcolm X this video is about is not only the firebrand from the rallies. The version that matters here is the analyst. In 1963, in Detroit, he gave a speech called "Message to the Grassroots," and in it, he laid out a comparison that people have been softening and misquoting ever since: the house and the field. He said that on the plantation, there were 2 kinds of enslaved people: the field worker, who lived in misery, hated the master, and prayed for the day the whole thing burned down, and the house servant, who lived close to power, ate the master's leftovers, wore the master's old clothes, and slowly, dangerously, began to believe the master's house was his own. But here is the part almost nobody quotes, and it is the sharpest thing Malcolm ever said about people like Kanye. He said the house servant did not just go along with the master. He loved the master more than the master loved himself. If the master got sick, the house servant would ask, "What is the matter? Are we sick?" If a stranger said, "Let us escape, let us run," the house servant would look at him like he was insane and say, "Run where? What could be better than this? Where would I find a better house, better food, better clothes than right here?" That is the man who defends the cage harder than the man who built it. That is the figure Malcolm had no pity for. And this is exactly the trap they keep us in. Hold that thought for 1 second. Hey family, real talk. YouTube has shut down channels for telling exactly these kinds of stories, so I need you to find us off this platform. Go to blackstories-untold.com, join our mailing list, and make sure we stay connected no matter what they do. Now, back to what Malcolm was showing us, because here is where the distinction does its work. Malcolm described 2 different men, and he treated them 2 different ways. There was the cornered man, the one squeezed by a system until he had no good options left. And for that man, Malcolm had something close to pity. And then there was the volunteer, the one who had choices and chose the master anyway. And for that man, Malcolm had nothing but contempt. Think about the others we have talked about. A young artist facing a long prison sentence takes a pardon from a powerful man and stands next to him afterward. Another one posts a photo and gets his own sentence wiped away weeks later. You can be angry at them, but you can understand them. There was a sentence hanging over their heads. There was a real fear, a real cage, a real thing they were trying to escape. The system cornered them and then offered them a door. Now look at Kanye West and ask one simple question. What was his excuse? He was not facing prison. There was no sentence hanging over him. He was, at the time, one of the richest and most powerful artists on the planet. He owned his sound. He owned a fashion empire worth more than almost any of his peers would ever see. He had more freedom, more money, and more independence than every cornered man in the story combined. Nobody had leverage over him. Nobody had to squeeze him. and he walked through the door anyway, grinning, and then held it open for the cameras. He was not selected, he applied, and he did it out loud, again and again, each time louder than the last. Walk through it in order, because the order matters. It tells you this was not one bad day, it was a direction. May 1st, 2018. He sits down in the TMZ newsroom, on camera, in front of the world, and says that slavery, 400 years of it, sounds like a choice. 400 years, generations born and worked and buried in bondage, and he tells a live audience they could have just walked off. A black staffer named Van Lathan stood up right there and told him to his face that his words had real consequences for real people. Kanye heard it. He had the chance to sit with it. He chose to keep going. October 11th, 2018. He walks into the Oval Office wearing the red hat, and instead of using the most powerful room in the world to speak for the people who made him, he performs. He says the hat makes him feel like Superman. He says it gives him power. He leans across the desk and tells the most powerful man on earth about that man. If he don't look good, we don't look good. He put the whole community on his back and handed it across the desk as a gift. Malcolm's house servant could not have said it cleaner. What is the matter, boss? Are we sick? And then, 2022, the runway. The White Lives Matter shirt debuted as fashion, as spectacle, next to a woman who made her name telling black people their pain was imaginary. He took the most documented suffering in this country's history and turned it into a marketing stunt. This was not a man being used by the system for a season and discarded. This was a man building a brand out of the betrayal. Now look at those 3 moments laid end to end. 2018, 2018 again, then 2022, 4 years. And notice that it never once corrected itself. Every public stumble was supposed to be the bottom, the moment a friend pulls you aside and you quietly walk it back. Instead, each one became the floor for the next one. The newsroom led to the Oval Office. The Oval Office led to the runway. That is not a man losing control of a moment. That is a man who found a direction and kept driving, faster, with the whole world watching and begging him to stop. A mistake is a single point. This was a line. And a line has an author. Now somebody is already typing it. The man is unwell, and we are not going to be cruel about that because it is real and it is serious. But hear this clearly, because it is the center of everything. Even if you grant every bit of it, the choices were public, they were repeated, and they were defended year after year, in his clearest moments and his worst ones. And in all those years, with all that money and all that power, he had 1,000 chances to step back, to go quiet, to choose his people. He chose the runway. Agency you can document is agency. The diagnosis explains the volume. It does not explain the direction. And here's the part that should sting the most, because it is the most Malcolm part of all. Kanye did not just choose the master's house. He turned around and scolded everybody still in the field for being angry about it. He told the people who built him, who bought every album, who defended him for 2 decades, that they were the ones who were brainwashed, that they were sheep, that their anger was the problem, not his betrayal. Run where? What could be better than this? He stood inside the master's house and asked his own people why they were not grateful for it too.
And this is where everything connects. Because I do not want you to walk away thinking this is only about one man. The system is still the architect here. Make no mistake. There is a lane built specifically for the volunteer. The powerful will always reward the black face who tells them what they want to hear. They will hand him magazine covers and Oval Office lunches and standing ovation, because nothing protects an unjust system like a member of the wronged group standing up to defend it. That lane is real, and it was paved long before Kanye found it. But here is the truth Malcolm forces us to hold. The lane being there does not erase the man who ran into it grinning. The system built the door. Kanye answered the ad. Both things are true at the same time, and that is not a defense of him. That is what makes him more damning, not less. The cornered man was pushed. This one came running. So let me leave you with the distinction Malcolm drew, the one they tried to bury under the clips and the caricature. He warned us about the cornered man, and for him, he had pity, because the cage was real. And he warned us about the volunteer, the one who looks at freedom and calls it foolish, the one who defends the master harder than the master defends himself. And for that man, Malcolm had no patience at all. Kanye West is the volunteer. They reduced Malcolm to rage so you would never learn to tell the two apart. Do not let them. Learn the difference. Because the man who is cornered, you fight to free. But the man who keeps choosing the cage and keeps telling you to climb in beside him, you stop calling a victim. This was Black Stories Untold. And as always, thanks for watching. If you want more stories like this, click the video on your screen right now